This is of a patient who attended with bilateral, so when we say bilateral, we mean both ears, impacted earwax, not fully occluding, however. We can see the superior, the top part of the eardrum, and they've been using a Q-tip. But also they had a lot of dry skin and it was causing a lot of irritation. So in this procedure, we not only do we remove the dry wax plugs, we also peel away a lot of skin. You can see that plug of wax that I removed from the patient's left ear came out pretty straightforward. It was quite deep, however, and now I've attached the fine end suction probe and I'm just going to delicately peel away some of this dead skin. Now, in terms of the patient's hearing, removing the skin is not going to enhance their hearing in any way because the sound can get through to the eardrum, which is now fully visible. But the purpose of removing this was purely because the patient suffers from chronic dry skin in the ear and irritation, and I thought, let's try to remove this for him. We're just going to be really, really careful. If you've been watching my videos, I always compare it, when we're in the inner 2/3 of the ear canal, I compare it to that game Operation where you're tasked to remove parts of the body without touching the sides. Otherwise, I think a buzzer comes on, and I can't remember if you get an electric shock from it, a very mild one. I don't think you did, but I think a buzzer comes on and a light comes on. And whenever we train our Earwax delegates, we always advise the same. You want to just avoid making contact with the bony part of the ear canal, the inner 2/3, because that is very, very sensitive, and I can't stress that enough. I've had people in my ears before, and they have clipped the bony part of the ear canal, and I did experience a bit of discomfort. It took a couple of days to settle. So in that same vein, I want to make sure when I'm treating my patients, I don't, wherever possible, in any case, I mean, when we're in the working the ear, there's always risks and dangers, but I try by all means to make it as a comfortable as experience as possible. A lot of patients, when they arrive, they're already quite nervous, especially if they've never had the procedure done before. I think we can all relate to that whenever we have a procedure or see a specialist for the first time. Regardless of their credentials, you can feel slightly nervous, and it's the unexpected. However, this patient is really still for me, and as a result, I was able to remove this. Now, for anyone who's just starting their journey as an earwax removal specialist, I would kind of suggest that not to attempt this initially, because it is a bit more skillful, especially when we're this close to the eardrum. You can see we're not far away. So I've removed the majority of the skin there. That's the patient's left ear. The eardrum looks nice and healthy otherwise, and this is the patient's right ear. Again, it's not fully occluding. There's a little gap there. We can see the hammer bone through that gap. Nonetheless, this amount of wax can affect your hearing. It can reflect away a lot of the sound waves and absorb a lot of the sound waves too. And again, it's really deep. This is right up against the eardrum. It's lodged beyond the isthmus. So the ear canal has loads of bends and twists and narrowings and widenings, and about 0.5 centimetre away from the eardrum there's a narrowing, and a narrowing in the ear, or any part of the body as such, is called an isthmus. And it's got lodged beyond that, so you have to wriggle it out. Again, wax shouldn't really be that deep in the ear. Wax typically should be located on the outer third of the ear canal. That's where the glands are, the ceruminous glands, which is an oily sweat, and the sebaceous glands, which produce a fatty, oily substance, the same oil that is secreted on our scalp. And the combination of that sebum, secreted by the sebaceous glands, and dry skin forms earwax. And if you have the genetic mutation for the oily sweat gland, the ceruminous gland, it's the same glands that we find in our armpits. Well, if you do have that genetic mutation, of course, they all combine and amalgamate, and they're the ingredients for earwax. So typically earwax should be secreted on the outer third, and then it does, because of the texture of it and the consistency, it does spread out evenly, or tries to anyway, to kind of coat the skin that lines the ear canal. So earwax has a purpose. It's actually a healthy secretion. It's only bad for you if there's excessive amounts. So once the earwax is secreted on the outer third, the shape of the ear canal tries to enable the earwax to spread naturally itself along the surface of the skin of the entire ear canal. So it shouldn't be blocking, it should just be coating. And as that skin dies and sheds, it moves sideways out of the ear like a conveyor belt motion. We get another layer of skin and we get some more earwax freshly secreted wax. So I've just used a fine ender. You can see I've bent the tip, and I was trying to remove that bit of skin there. There's a little bit left right at the top. It's kind of behind the short process of the hammer bone. You can't get in there.